Welcome back to the channel, where today we got a video for you about how I won $70 with Raging Bolt EX at my locals. Before we get going, I want to thank everyone for watching the recent videos. Thank you so much. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and thank you so much. Enjoy the video. Let's go! Last night, I attended the Full Grip Games weekly local tournament in Akron, Ohio, a store I've been going to for a long time. Really good turnout, really good time there as always, and this time it was actually streamed on the Tricky Gym Twitch page. Honestly, I haven't played a ton of this format. I don't really have an interest in this format. I don't like Badu. I don't like the decks in the format right now, to be honest with you. So I kind of just sent my Raging Bolt deck that I've been playing with for basically the entire season. I've won 5 cups, 5 challenges. I've day 2'd regionals this season with it. And honestly, the deck just feels great. The first round I played Miraidon, and I wasn't expecting Miraidon. The person I played is a local. I've played him a lot. And Miraidon isn't usually the type of deck he plays. He had been on Dragapult a lot. So in my mind, I was thinking Dragapult. I was thinking Badu. I was thinking I'm going to get slowed down, so I got to find a way around that. And then when he flips over a Miraidon EX, my thought process had to switch on a dime. Luckily for me, I do run some one-prize fighting type Pokemon like Slitherwing and Koraidon, allowing me to take really big knockouts on electric Vs and EXs and big electric types that really allow me to kind of swing that matchup for me. Luckily for me in this matchup, I did take the first 2 prize knockout, and usually in those matchups with the big basics, it really just comes down to who can take that first 2 prize knockout, and then it's just all about consistently following up, because both decks are usually going to attack with 2 prize Pokemon. So being able to one-shot each other back and forth, it's kind of just like a boxing match, right? Like you just punch each other back and forth until eventually someone loses. Luckily for me, he wasn't hitting generators, didn't have a great start, and I was able to really do what Raging Bolt does. I took big knockouts, I did it consistently, and we moved on. Going into round 2, it was a little more complicated. We were playing against Gardevoir, which honestly is probably Raging Bolt's worst matchup in this format of the major tier 1, tier 2 decks. Gardevoir just has a lot of one prize Pokemon that are really powerful, really able to switch up that prizing matchup. And luckily for me, the Gardevoir player just did not start off very well, wasn't really able to establish that Gardevoir early. And when he finally did, I was able to knock it out, only allowing him to have the Scream-tailed attacker and really just kind of put him on a back foot. Towards the end of the game, he did try like some Badu, kind of deck me out, try and get there, and he almost did, if I'm being 100% honest with you. Luckily for me, I did have 1 energy left in deck, so I was able to Sada retreat and then hit a big knockout with my Koraidon, doing actually only the base 30 damage, but it's enough to knock out a Badu, which is honestly, I think, the only reason I would ever play that card over Slitherwing. Honestly, round 3, I should not have won. I was playing Ancient Box, and it's a really bad matchup for Raging Bolt. They really only bench 1 prize attackers, so at best, I'm winning on turn 6, which is really rough for a big basic deck, right? It really is what makes Ancient Box so strong. It's really good against those big basic Pokemon because hitting 240 really doesn't take that much for these decks that are designed to hit 300 damage. So 240 is really not that tough for them, but luckily for me, I was able to get the Donk. They benched a Roaring Moon, attached an Energy, attached an Ancient Booster Capsule, and passed. Luckily from there, my hand was really good. I had multiple attackers, multiple energies, Earthen Vessels, Ultra Balls, and I went and grabbed my Squawk, found the Sada off that, and we moved on to game number 4. This one got a little stressful, I'm gonna be honest. It was also again streamed on the Tricky Gym YouTube and Twitch, which is really cool. I do love when stores and streamers are able to team up, and this was on, this is actually something Tricky Gym used to do a lot of times back in the pre-COVID days, which I actually went to. This is like back when I first started playing competitively, so like it was really cool to kind of have that like vibe back in locals. It was super fun, super enjoyable. Shout out Andrew Mahone, Full Grip Games, Tricky Gym, everyone for really just doing a great job with that production over there. Their locals have always run really smoothly, and it's always good to have in your local scene good competitive locals where you can really get that like competitive passion going among players, and everyone's always really nice, very chill. So that was really fun. But going into round 4 on stream, I was playing against Charizard, which is like my least favorite deck to play against, because I just feel like I always have really slow starts against it, or really just unoptimal, really bad opening hands. But luckily for me, this game did not go that way. I was able to really just power really early, really fast, and just kind of never let him have Pidgeot, which is super, super important in that matchup. If you can take away the Pidgeot from the Pidgeot decks, it really just makes them really flounder a lot of times. Because usually I've found in those matchups, the Pidgeot allows them to grab that one piece they won't be able to find off an Arven, an Iono, what other draw cards they have in the deck. So being able to do that is just really strong. And a lot of times, at some point, they're going to miss a turn, and that's going to allow you to flip that matchup. And that's really all it takes. But you also have to be really aggressive because these decks really utilize a lot of hand disruption. Gardevoir also does this. They run Unfair Stamp, they run Ionos, they're constantly disrupting that hand, not letting the Raging Bolt or the big aggro basic player have this huge hand and have all these cards where they can just really just constantly build and always have every card they need for their combos to hit big knockouts on their Pokemon. So it makes those really tough, and it makes it so you really have to be aggressive in benching things, utilizing Squawk ability, the Teal Mask Ogerpons, Pheasantipity, Radiant Greninja, and a lot of times they can just take advantage of that. So it can be a really 50-50 matchup. But luckily for me, I did win. I was able to get the win here. And I did take home first prize. I got $70 in store credit. Really fun, really enjoyable time. But furthermore, I do want to get into the deck I played. So we're going to switch on over and we'll see y'all over there. All right, so this is the deck I played to the Full Grip Locals where we were able to go 4-0 and win. This list is not super crazy, to be honest. This list is really just me focusing on consistency and just setting up consistently, playing as consistent a deck as possible. Because Raging Bolt really just does one thing and it does it really well, right? It does the Bellowing Thunder. It does big damage, big knockouts. That's really all you do. So I play 4 Raging Bolt, 3 Teal Mask Ogerpons to help with your draw, 1 Pheasantipity, 1 Greninja, 1 Squawk, really just to help with your draw, your setup. These are all very common counts. Everyone's pretty much running that. The only real difference here, I have been running the Slitherwing just because for the 2 fighting energy, you can do 240 plus burn. So a lot of fighting weak EXs are in this format right now. We have Pheasantipity. We have a lot of lightning attackers are weak to fighting. The Blood Moon Ursaluna, it's absolutely insane against because it allows you to do 240. Plus it burns, so in between turns, they take the 20 damage. You get your knockout before they draw a card, which essentially it's still a knockout, but they cannot Pheasantipity. They cannot use Flip the Script, because Flip the Script, of course, requires you to be knocked out by damage, whereas the special condition knocks you out in between turns, not activating that ability. So that is super fun. When that card first came out, that was so fun to use on people. I play 4 Professor Sada's Vitality, again, as consistent as possible. I'm running the Iono just for your late game and maybe early game if you miss something. Iono is probably like my 60th card in this list at this point. I could live without it. I just don't know what I would play instead of it, which is the only reason it's still in there, especially in a Budu format. I think having another pseudo draw supporter could be really good just when you need to find like 1 energy attachment. I'm also playing Briar, Boss's Orders. Boss, just Gusting is super good in this deck. Briar is basically just for Charizard, which it might honestly find its way out if Charizard isn't that big of a play. Like, it doesn't seem to be really anymore. It seems to have fallen off a little bit. So I 100% could see Briar exit this list at some point. I really just don't know what I would play instead of it. Maybe another Pokegear, maybe another Trekking Shoes, and second Ultra Ball would be really good. But also being in a Budu format, I don't necessarily love that idea. But moving on to the items, again, super consistent here. 4 Vessel, 4 Nest Ball, 3 Retrievals, 3 Pokemon Catchers, 2 Night Stretchers, 2 Pokegears, 2 Switch Carts, 2 Trekking Shoes, the Ultra Ball, the Pal Pad. The Lost Vacuum is really for Gardevoir. Honestly, I could see a second Vacuum come in for that spot if you expected like a really heavy Gardevoir format into the tournament you're playing in. But that is basically just to get rid of those tools, get rid of those stadiums, maybe even Neutralization Zone, being able to bump that, even though that is like kind of a fringe card in the meta. But that's really all those are for. Bravery Charm are really good against a lot of decks. Just putting your Raging Bolts above like 250 is really good. It stops Blood Moon Ursaluna. It stops Radiant Charizard. A lot of the Regidrago decks, even though that's not that much of a play anymore, It's about putting your Pokemon above that 250, right? It makes it harder for Ceruledge, makes it harder for Goldango. It just serves a lot of niche purposes, and I think Bravery Charm still has a place in this deck. I play 3 Pokestop, again, maximizing on my consistency. I want to be as consistent as humanly possible. And then the energy count, pretty standard, I think, at this point, is a 533. I know there were a lot of lists from the Merida Regional where a lot of people were running Crispin, things like that, and I just don't think you need it. To be 100% honest with you, I think it's just clogging up the deck. And you do one thing, so just do that one thing, right? Like, just be as consistent as humanly possible. And honestly, this deck can be super strong if you let it be the deck, right? I think a lot of people just try and do too much with the deck. Try and make it a toolboxy deck or a comeback deck, and just don't do that. Just go second, hit them first, and keep hitting them, right? Just do what you do and do it really well. But either way, whether you like the list, whether you hate the list, I appreciate you for watching the video today. Let me know in the comment down below if you like this deck, if you hate this deck, if I'm completely wrong on the deck. Feel free to tell me in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see y'all on the next video. Peace out.